Whispers of the Dead. The night was colder than usual. A pale moon hung over the small, forgotten village of Hollow Creek, casting long shadows across the crumbling houses. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by the faint rustle of dead leaves. At the edge of this village stood an abandoned house, old and weather-beaten, with broken windows that looked like hollow eyes, staring into the soul of anyone who dared approach. Few dared to walk past it, even during the day. At night, no one came near. But tonight, Evelyn, a young woman of 26, found herself standing before its rusted gates. She wasn't a thrill seeker. She wasn't chasing legends. She was searching for answers. Her grandmother had lived in this village long ago. Before she died, she whispered the same words over and over again. The dead are not silent. They remember. Those words had haunted Evelyn's mind ever since. And now, standing at the gate, she felt the house pulling her closer, as if it had been waiting for her. Rising tension, the whispers begin. The moment she stepped inside, the temperature dropped. Her breath hung in the air, white and trembling. The wooden floor creaked under her boots as she moved deeper into the decaying halls. At first, it was only silence, the kind of silence that pressed against your ears until it felt deafening. And then she heard it, a whisper, so faint she thought it was the wind. But the windows were sealed and no air stirred inside. It came again, a broken voice, words she couldn't quite catch. Her heart thudded in her chest. "Hello," she called out. Though her voice cracked, no answer. But the whisper returned, this time clearer. "Leave." The word hissed through the air like a warning. Her skin prickled, every hair on her body rising. She spun around, but the hallway behind her was empty. Still, the whisper did not stop. It was soft, fragmented, yet unmistakably human. Male, old, tired. Her pulse quickened. She pressed forward, gripping the small flashlight she had brought, its weak beam cutting through the darkness. But the deeper she went, the louder the whispers became. They weren't just one voice anymore. They were many. A chorus, a gathering. Remember us? The grave, hidden. We never rest. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. The whispers weren't echoes of her imagination. They were the dead. Only the haunting fear intensifies nights stretched on. Evelyn returned to the house again and again, unable to stay away. The whispers called to her, growing clearer each visit. Sleep abandoned her. When she closed her eyes, she heard them. In her dreams, she walked through endless graveyards, voices rising from beneath the soil. By the third night, strange things began to happen. Doors creaked open by themselves. Shadows flickered in corners where her flashlight did not reach. The mirrors inside the house fogged over, though no one breathed near them. And always, always, the whispers. Sometimes they cried, sometimes they begged, sometimes they screamed so loudly her ears rang. But among the chaos, one voice stood out, a woman's voice, calm, sorrowful, and familiar. Evelyn, blood remembers. Her grandmother's voice, her blood froze. She knew it was impossible. Her grandmother was buried far away. Yet the whisper was hers, unmistakably. Driven by both fear and desperate curiosity, Evelyn followed the sound one night, deeper than she had ever gone before. She descended a staircase that groaned under her weight, leading into the damp stone cellar beneath the house. There, the air grew heavier, colder, almost impossible to breathe, and carved into the walls were names, dozens of them, etched by trembling hands, names of the dead. Her flashlight trembled as she traced the letters. Some were scratched so deep into the stone they had broken the surface, bleeding into the cracks like veins. The whispers rose around her, pressing into her skull, louder and louder. Find the grave. The murder must be remembered. Justice for the forgotten. Her knees weakened. The cellar spun. She knew now this wasn't just a haunting. This was a plea. The dead were demanding to be heard. Climax: confrontation with the dead. On the fourth night, the whispers didn't wait for her to come. They followed her home. She lay in bed, clutching her blanket, staring into the dark ceiling as the voices whispered in her ears. No matter how tightly she covered them, she heard them. And then came the scratching, fingernails dragging across her walls, across the floorboards. She screamed, grabbing her flashlight, but no one was there. Her grandmother's voice returned, louder, more desperate. Evelyn, the truth is buried beneath the roots of the old oak, behind the house. Terrified but compelled, Evelyn returned to the abandoned house that very night, shovel in hand. The oak tree stood tall, twisted, its roots gnarled like skeletal fingers reaching from the earth. Her hands shook as she dug, dirt flying in frantic bursts. The whispers grew deafening, surrounding her, chanting, begging, screaming, and then her shovel struck something hard, wood, a coffin. Her heart nearly stopped as she clawed the soil away, her fingers raw, until the rotting box was exposed. With trembling hands, she pried it open. Inside lay bones, brittle and broken, and beside them, a lock of hair, her grandmother's hair. Her blood turned to ice. The whispers roared around her now. They weren't whispers anymore. They were screams. He killed us. He buried us. The family must pay. Her eyes widened in horror. This was the secret her grandmother had carried, a legacy of blood, betrayal, and death. The dead had been buried without peace, and now they demanded Evelyn to carry their curse. Ending the dark twist. Evelyn staggered back, heart hammering. She wanted to run, to escape, but the voices wrapped around her like chains. Her grandmother's whisper came one last time, soft but merciless. You have dug up the grave. Now you cannot leave. The blood binds you to us. The ground trembled beneath her feet. Shadows twisted around the oak tree, curling like smoke. She screamed, dropping the flashlight, its beam flickering as the earth opened. Hands, rotting, skeletal hands, burst from the soil, clutching her ankles, dragging her down. She clawed at the dirt, shrieking, but the whispers drowned her out. And then, silence. The tree stood still. The soil closed. The grave was whole again. Only the flashlight remained on the ground, flickering weakly until it died. Days later, villagers passing by swore they heard something at night when the wind cut through Hollow Creek. Whispers. Not just one, not just many, but hers. Evelyn's voice, calling from beneath the soil, forever joined with the others, forever whispering. The dead never forget, and now neither can she.